So, what I want to do is I also want to go to my website, and because I am the kind of teacher who goes off on all of these tangents, in case you didn't notice that, and so I'm going to use my website to just keep me on track as far as it goes with different with the topics that we're going to cover today. So, first of all, let's go over the settings on your camera. Are you in RAW?
Yep.
Yes, good. We want the very best quality. What's the best quality for the camera?
ISO 100.
ISO 100, you got it. Are you in manual?
Yeah.
Good. And of course, that doesn't mean manual focus, that means manual mode, right?
Yep.
Big M. Awesome. All right. How the lights and transmitters work. Okay, so first of all, these transmitters are kind of a pain because you have to look. See, there's a little notch. This one's pointed at 1 instead of at 9 right now. Turn it to 9, please. I'll turn this light on. Let's see your notch right here. Yes, that is at 9. Okay, and you can see how that can be confusing, hey? There's a very slight difference between the two. Now, you have to tell it, sometimes you have to tell it a bunch of times, up to 3 times, that you want it to talk to that light. Okay, especially if it's been working with another studio. Okay, so press the test button. And one more time. One more, third time. Whoop, we don't even have a red light happening. Yeah. Okay, so the fact that there's no red light happening means that the battery is dead on this one. So somebody, it wasn't working and they just put it back in the cabinet. Yay. How about yours? Press it. Yay. Okay. Now, that double hit means that button is starting to go. 1. There we go. Awesome. Come take a look at the light. And what you want to see on the light, as I take the camera over here. All right, so what we have here is you'll notice it says frequency 9 down there on the bottom right. Okay, now you can change any of the different modes and all that kind of stuff. But really, we care about this guy up here at the top, which is the EU number, okay, and the frequency number. Now, if we change the different functions by pressing function, and it stays there for a fairly small amount of time. And this way we can change the frequency like to 7. And you might say to yourself, well, why would we want to do that? Well, sometimes somebody's cell phone or laptop or whatever gets on the frequency, that same frequency as we're on, and the lights just go nuts, right? They start flashing and everything like that. And so you just go up, press function, and it kind of hurts because it's flashing in your face, and then you change the frequency. So,
How many times you press function?
How many times do you press it? You see the blue right here? Okay, so the blue starts there. You press the blue, press function until it gets to frequency right there. Okay, now channel is used when you have, when you've got a controller that will allow, the controller will actually automatically change things within the same frequency. So you put this on channel 1, that one on channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. So you can have multiple lights and control them remotely within all on frequency 9, which is really handy. I'm hoping to buy one of those within the next 2 weeks. So we'll have a chance to play around with one of those controllers. Okay, so the modeling light is on right now. And you'll notice, watch your eyes, flash, turns off, and comes back on. This lets you know that the battery is now charged and it's ready to go. Now, we have it set so that it will take the picture even if the battery isn't fully charged. So if I go boom, boom, have I burned out your retinas yet? Mine are completely gone. Okay. So it will go if you insist. And the reason why we picked that option, even though it doesn't have full power and it will be darker, is that as a photographer, sometimes you see this awesome expression and you've got to have it. You've got to have that picture right away. So we decided to, okay, let's have that, but you have to realize that you have to let the lights regenerate in order to get to the power of the amount of light that you really want. Okay? Most of all, this one right here. This scoop is set for it, because it's got to light up this whole area, it's set to the highest. And so that's why it actually has the beep turned on, because the photographers need to be listening for the beep. So press the test button and listen. Yeah. Right? Okay, so it's a fair amount of time before this one is actually ready. So when we're taking pictures in portrait photography, you got to get yourself into a slower rhythm than you would think. Otherwise, you're just not going to get decent color on the back. Okay, what else do we need to know? The EU number. You will notice that the EU number looks suspiciously like an f-stop, but it's not really. Now, so EU 5.6 is a specific measurement of the amount of light that's going to come off of it. Okay? And it is not the same as f5.6. And the reason for that is because the light has no idea how far away you are from it, right? And so, remember in physics, the inverse distance formula for the way light falls off, 1 over d squared? No? Okay. Well, it's an inverse exponential function. Does that make sense? It goes down exponentially. Okay? All right. All right. What does that mean for you? It just means you need a light meter, that's all. So we'll grab a light meter, and the light meter will tell us what to set. It's not a whole lot of actual math in photography. You have to know how to double stuff, half stuff. Okay, so we have two different types of light meters. This one right here works sort of like an iPod. It's got a touch screen. So you say 250th of a second. Are you guys at 250? Okay. ISO 100. Okay. And once you have that, and this is hugely important, don't press the memory button here on this side, ever. Okay, you press, this is the measure button. And we go to where we want, we press the measure button, boom, it tells us that the f-stop we would need in order to get good lighting would be 5.6 and 1/10. Okay.
Do you always set it to 250 of a second? Or
No, you
is that
don't.
just what you want to shoot in?
Now, interesting enough, in actual fact, what happens is shutter speed doesn't matter a great deal in the studio. Okay, and here's the reason: because the shutter opens and the lights flash and imprint the image. And at the moment, this light is set to flash in 1 over 1,417th of a second. That's much faster than 250, right? And so it imprints, and then the shutter stays open. The thing is that the settings we have right now, at ISO 100, 250th of a second, f5.6, it's just going to be dark. Like it's not that these lights are not powerful enough to fill that in. Okay, so that's one thing that a lot of photographers have a little trouble with. It's like, wait a minute, how do you told us that a 1/30th of a second if we're moving around is going to be blurry. Well, not if these guys have imprinted the image on there and they're super bright. Okay. Let me show you. We'll take these off for a second. Stand right here. Okay, f5.6, 2/50th of a second, ISO 100. Take my picture. There we go. Take a look at it. Probably the best one I've had of you. You like it? Yeah, totally black. All right. That's showing you that these lights have no effect at all. You now put the trigger back on, and we're going to have one light coming in from the side at 5.6. Okay. Take my picture, make sure that the focus dots are on my eyes. All right, big shadow down the side of the face, right? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to watch out for the backgrounds, right? Okay. All right, so you ladies were also at 18, right? As far as, well, you were at 18, definitely. You were not. Okay. So, why do you not want to take a portrait at 18 millimeters? Yeah, but it's also a wide angle lens, and I really don't need that. All right, so 50 millimeters is how we see things normally, okay? Personally, I need something more slimming and everything, so I would prefer if you went up to, I don't know, 400 or something, if possible. Okay, so, but please don't, unless you want that warped kind of look, okay? Make sure that you think about that. Now, what else? Color channel model. Oh, we got modeling light. Okay. Oh, yes. All right, so the EU number. The EU number does correspond with f-stops as far as if you take a look at the f-stops on the wall. See how the next f-stop up is f8, right? Okay. So, here we have a coincidence where it was 5.6 on here and 5.6 on there. If I was going to stand here though, it's now 8 6/10, right? So that's why I'm saying this 5.6 does not always match. However, a happy coincidence that over here, we're at 5.6 1/10. So that's going to make life a little easy for us. If we want f8, right, then what you do is this goes up by tenths. So basically we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now remember it was at 5.6, okay, and 1/10. So I went up 9/10. Let's see. Oh my God, it worked. It rarely works.
So if it was 8 6/10, then you go up 4.
4, exactly. Okay, but then notice what your f-stop would be.
F11.
F11. Okay, those f-stops. It bugs me because it's just something you got to memorize because of the formula. Just making sure that it's it's getting the picture here. Okay, so yeah, and if you really want to know how we get those numbers, I can show you the mathematical formula. No, okay, all right. Okay, so why does it rarely work when bang on when I take the measurement? And the reason why is because even the slightest little turn will change the amount of light that's coming in here. Which is why if you're within 1 or 2 tenths, that's fine. You're shooting in RAW, you're good, okay? If you weren't shooting in RAW, then I would say no, you want it to be right on there. Because when you change exposure on a JPEG, it makes it more grainy and that kind of thing. Okay, so why would we care about the f-stop if we're in the studio? Do you remember what f-stop changes?
Amount of light.
It does change the amount of light. That's true. Okay, it also changes the depth of field and how deep you can see into the back of the picture, right? So if you wanted to have, if you wanted to be able to see more of the texture on the backdrop, or if you had groups of people and a couple rows of people, okay, then better make sure you don't have a shallow depth of field, because then the person in the front is going to be in focus and everybody else will be all blurry, right? So yeah, you want to say to yourself, oh okay, and there's like these online calculators you can totally use. I think I talked about DOF Master, right? Okay, or you can do what I do, which is basically say, I got 3 rows of people, I'm going to a moderately high f-stop. That's what I do. I take a picture and I zoom on in, I make sure each row is in focus, and I'm good. All right. A low f-stop with a long lens will give you like the nose in focus, but the ear being blurry. Sometimes you want that. Okay, maybe. Those pictures of like a wedding ring kind of thing, like where there's just the rings in focus and then the people in behind, right? She's holding it out like that. Okay, so you see those a lot. All right, so that's why you'd want to change your f-stop. Next, Einstein lights, modeling strobe. Oh yes, safety. Come over here and take a look at this. I'm going to unplug this. All right. Flash tube around the edge. The modeling light is the light on the inside. Okay. They're both halogen bulbs. Never touch them with your fingers. You'll also notice the metal coil on the outside of the bulb. And that is like a live wire. So if you touch it, it's the same as a defibrillator. Okay, so please don't touch it. Not only because we don't want to get your oils on here, because it will pop, just like all halogen bulbs. You know that, you don't use your regular fingers with a halogen bulb, you use gloves, okay? But also I don't want you to die, because if it goes off at the same time, somebody flashes it thinking it's hilarious, yeah, it can put the current through you, which is why we keep the safety on there. Sometimes it's not there though, and why I unplugged it to show you. 4 people a year are killed in photographic accidents in North America. Isn't that a crazy statistics? Photographic accidents. Most of them are killed by a lighting stand falling on them. But I imagine that some are unfortunate enough to touch the coil at the same time somebody flashes the flash. Okay. 8 people a year are killed by vending machines. Okay, she's shaking it and it falls back and crushes them. I'm full of useless information. Okay, sync speed. Come stand here. Now, one of the problems with photography is that these lights will actually go too fast for your shutters, and the shutter won't be open. And so I want you to realize that if you go too fast, then you're gonna end up with like this black bar on there. So what I want everyone to do, or want you both to do, is I want you to go to 400th of a second, please. And I'm actually going to turn this light on first, because there's going to be a black bar that appears across the photo. And I want you to be able to see it. Turned off automatically. F8 and 5/10. All right, so hold on a second. I'm just going to bring this down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But because of the way that light amplifies in its wave, it isn't exactly bang on. Okay, so notice how I have 5.6 and 9/10. Okay, so 5.6 and 9/10 is pretty darn close to F8, right? We're good. So be at F8 there, please. And you're at 400th of a second? Mm-hmm. Great. All right, take my picture, please. And you'll see a black bar appear in the photo. See that? Mm-hmm. See on the probably on the right hand side? Yes, exactly. Okay. And oh, lights work best when they're plugged in. I didn't know that. All right. So, go up to 500th of a second for me. All right, take my picture again. Isn't that nice? Okay, excellent. Okay, so now you know what that looks like. Okay, go to, will the camera give you 300th of a second? 320? Okay. Yeah, go to 320, because this is the one where it kind of creeps in a little bit. So go ahead, take the photo, and you'll see a very slim. Okay, so it's just creeping in on the right-hand side there. You see that? Okay, now go to 250. And Olivia, make sure that you wait for the beep. There we go. Now compare the two to each other, right? Like see how it creeps in there on the right-hand side? Okay. Now that number is called the flash sync speed, and every camera has a specified flash sync speed, and you just have to look it up when you buy a camera. It's usually between 125 and 250. For all of our cameras, except for one, it's 250. So if the Canon 5D that's in there has a larger sensor on it, and so its flash sync speed is 125th of a second. Let's do the opposite now. Okay? My goodness, shut up. Teachers, they just don't stop talking. Tell us about it, hey? Okay. Go to a 1/10 of a second. I'm going to turn off the background. All right, go ahead. Whoops, you double hit. Go ahead. All right, are you on continuous by any chance? No? Okay, so I might need to replace number 7 then. Yeah. All right, another one. That's the second one in a week. Would be here. These things are a whopping $25.
I didn't do anything.
So.
Oh my God.
So I'm not that worried about it. Actually, I think the price may have gone up to 50 with the new ones. Give that a try. Push. Yeah. Okay, try it again. Good. All right, so 1/10 of a second. That's not so bad, hey, other than the background.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, good, nice. But wait a minute, a 1/10 of a second. 1/10 of a second should be like stupid, like really blurry, right? See what I mean by the shutter opens? These guys imprint the image, and then basically it just kind of waits, right? It's just not enough ambient light. There is a certain point though where the ambient light actually does start imprinting on there. And that is where we use, remember our light meter? Remember our good old light meter? There it is in the middle, 3.2 seconds. Ouch. All right. Try that. Isn't that great? Okay. And that's called shutter drag. And you can actually do some really fun stuff. Okay? Like here, take my photo. See? The other thing too is that what you can do as well is if you have another person with the trigger, so you take your picture, I step over to the side, you flash it while her camera is still open, and it's just like when we did a light painting, right? So then you'll have two Tyrrells like next to each other. So that's how you do that kind of thing. It's it can be fun. Okay, that's called shutter drag. Okay, let's go back to 250. Okay, well, we'll find out. We'll see. White balance. All right, so I'm actually going to do a lesson on white balance with the gray card in the studio. Actually, I think I did that with you guys, didn't I? Okay, cool. In that case, then I'll just review it with everybody separately. But in the meantime, you can set your white balance to just flash on there, and that's pretty good. It's not as good as using the gray card, but if you don't have time to grab a gray card, you can do that. And remember, if you're shooting in RAW, you can change the white balance afterwards anyway. So, all right. I think that basically covers how the stuff works. Now I want to talk about actual lighting. So, we have this light coming in here from this side, okay? And I would like you to please set it up for 5.6, f5.6. Who wants to light me? There it is, good. For those people watching on the video, they're going to set up f5.6, then they're going to set up f8, then they're going to do f16, taking 3 photos.
What do I do for